None of us knew this was going to happen. So like before we even moved from one state to another state, our families had spent a lot of time, like my family and then Nolan's family. We'd spend a lot of time together. Nolan's family moved around a pretty good amount. And then we were just kind of staying where we were. And then at one point, Nolan's family moved farther away. And we're like, well, that's it. And then we visited them. And our mom, me and James's mom, was like, wait a second, yo. Like, I think we should move here.
This place lit.
6 months later, we moved there, found a house. Everything just kind of fell into place really well. So that's kind of the first thought is like, we didn't realize how beautiful this puzzle was going to be because we didn't really even know there was a puzzle at all. We were just living life. But little did we know God was putting the puzzle together. So that's something that we literally saw happen. And so when we got there, there was only just
Sorry, I actually I need to head out now, boys.
No worries. We love you, brother. Catch you later. So we moved there and went on faith, and then we got to spend some time together, and then slowly I met Kyle and his brother Nick, Joker, and then we played sports and stuff. And yeah, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but that's kind of where it started initially.
Yeah, no, it's funny because, I've lived in the same spot really for most of my life, right? So, it's one day, these neighbors roll up, they're moving in, and, we see these two goons, they come out, they're playing basketball, and I think that was like one of the first things y'all did was just like come meet us and like wanted to come play basketball and stuff. And it's crazy to think that, like I said, we randomly, met each other through that, and we're able to just like, grow it into something.
Yeah.
It's like, most people, I don't think, like back then, YouTube was just like such a small thing, right? We did this back in like 2010, I think.
2012, yeah.
2012, yeah. So I mean, YouTube was like not anywhere near where it is now. Where like now it's like every kid's got a YouTube channel, right? Like there's almost, if you didn't start a YouTube channel, you're weird, right? Like, whereas like back then it's like nobody ever thought to do what we did. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were pretty early to the gaming realm, so we would spend time. Sometimes Ezra, our friend, would have these like movies that we need to do for like projects, and we literally go in random people's backyards to film these videos. Like that one time where we were in this guy's backyard, I'm like, what are we doing? But we had such a good time. We were like making like war videos and pretending pretending to do all this stuff. And so it really like started from that. So like there was these beautiful like chemistry moments, little experiments that ultimately led to the Tanuki Toad team experiment, the YouTube experiment where we did that together. So James, do you have anything to comment?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like we had a really awesome, I guess, situation that we were in because we grew up like on the East Coast and we lived at the end of a street. It's kind of sad because now they've like knocked down the woods and like there's a road that goes through it. But we lived at the end of the street, so there's no outlet. So like no one ever really came down there. So we were able to use like basically 100 yards of road for like football, definitely like two-hand touch. We weren't tackling right into the ground, like asphalt. That would be ridiculous. Or like kickball, we had a court, like a cul-de-sac nearby, and we would play kickball there, and baseball. We never broke any windows, surprisingly. And yeah, it was just a super awesome experience growing up.
Yeah, it's funny because we did like the stupidest stuff. We I remember there was one game. What was it like? We played volleyball like indoors or something like that. What was the game we did indoors?
Didn't we play baseball?
Baseball, that's what it was. Baseball. We played baseball indoors. Not with a real baseball, but like we did baseball indoors. We did hours and hours of gaming. We were just kids being kids, and it was a lot of fun, and I think we all look back really fondly on that kind of stuff. At least I do. We set up like a little like a fort thing in your garage too, or like we would play like what was it, the DS game, the
Metro Prime Hunters.
Yeah, Metro Prime Hunters. That was hours and hours of just playing that game.
Yeah, there's like a time that we played it in your garage, and I
Yep.
was like sitting on top of a trash can.
Yeah, like it was the total kids being kids. Like that's all this was, and it's something that when you're young you don't realize what you're doing, but when you're older you're like, man, I'm so glad we did that. And I wish I could just go back one day, just for one day, go back and just play Metro Prime Hunters in the garage on top of trash cans.
Yeah.
It's like.
It was so pure. I can hear like Nick in my mind say like, "Oh, he's got double damage, or he's got death halt," and he's like running around with like this alt. Is basically like Metro Prime Hunters. Like you have like it was like a first person shooter, but
The
like
nostalgia.
the death halt turns you into your alt form. So for Samus, which all the players who didn't have the game would use, would all be Samus and would move around and stuff. But that game was so sick. Honestly, that game was sick. I would. If they remade it, I would play it for sure. I don't really play any FPS nowadays, but if they remade that, I would make an exception. Because I felt like the maps, I honestly think it was ahead of its time.
100% it was.
Solid game. It's like 20 maps or something.
And I remember, like, we were all like super big into Pokemon back in the day, and I remember for our birthdays, you had completed like the Pokedex on like I forgot what game it was. And so what you would do is like you would like game share us one Pokemon from that, like from your game. And like I remember like I was so hyped for that it was my birthday because it was like, yes, I get to like Dallin's gonna give me something cool. And like I don't know, it's little stuff like that was just like it's childhood memories, man.
Yeah. I found out about how to duplicate your Pokemon in Pokemon Emerald. So I was giving you like the exact same thing. It wasn't like a loss on me, but it still at the same time was like a joy to you, you know? And it sort of makes me think of just being kind in general. Like it costs no money at all. It doesn't cost any money, but it can make a real difference for somebody.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, there's like I don't like in my memory we were up like super late, but there was one day that we played football and it was like the street lights went out, like we were up pretty late, like outside playing football. In my mind it was like we were up all night, I don't know, but it was just like one of those experiences you're just like you don't do that anymore. It's just they're these awesome memories that you can look back on.
Well, like one of the things I remember was like when me and Dallin, we do around the world for basketball, right? And so, you had to make a certain shot to go keep going. I remember this one time, it's like super hot outside, and we couldn't finish the game. Like, we were just struggling so bad to make shots. And I finally, like, it was like probably an hour or two of just playing it. And finally, Dallin was just like, screw it, I'm gaming this shot, I don't care. And he made it on the game, and I was like, all right, I'm done. We're done. You won. I don't care. Like, and it was awesome. Just like I said, there's so many like little mini members that we could all talk about for hours.
Yeah.
But like the only reason why we played around the world was because my dad and I made like this course, if you want to call it that, of like you do these shots.
Yep.
And then my dad taught me, and I can still hear it in my mind saying like, "Are you gonna game it?" Yeah. It's like there's bet, like you miss, and it's like okay, whatever. Then it's like if you want to bet it, then you'll go down one spot, which isn't a big deal at all. You can make up that ground. If you life it, then you go back down to 1, which in around the world it's 1 to 9, and then back down 9, 8 down to 1, and then you win. If you game it, then you automatically lose if you miss. And it's always like gaming it was always like, oh, I don't know about that, but sometimes you just kind of
take matters in your own hands.
Yeah, just go all in.
So that happened a couple times where somebody would game it and then they'd make it, and it's like, oh shoot, because it's like, okay then. Yeah, we did a lot of different stuff with that. We'd make like, I know we made a couple shortcuts. Like this shot will skip you through a couple of the numbers, and then we also we just had a lot of good times with that. So we had a lot of opportunities to build each other up from those memories. And I mean, before I got into track, I think we did a ton of stuff, and we still did a ton of stuff after I got into track. But
yeah, what was y'all's favorite moments during recording sessions? What was like, if there's like one that sticks out in your memory?
Oh, Tanuki Tochi.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I think one is like let's call them the surprising, like unexpected moments. Like when like Ezra would walk through the door or something would happen. It's just like everyone gets super hyped because you're so happy to see like someone you haven't seen in a long time. Like one of them was with the 4-year special. I remember like getting you and as Mephiles there and being able to like just like reconnect, and it was just super awesome like being able to get together for that. I really enjoyed specials like Halloween specials, like when we were live streaming and stuff too. Like that was tons of fun doing like Christmas specials, Halloween stuff.
Dallin, you got anything?
I have plenty. One that definitely stands out to me is doing the Ninba spotlight. So we had like a camera on top of some encyclopedias pointed at our TV, and so it really wasn't that high of quality at all. But we had a pretty good,
none of us took a picture of that.
We had a pretty good angle of it, and yeah, like I remember the Ninba spotlight was this thing held by like this 100K subscriber YouTube channel, and they're like, hey, just send us a video, one of your videos, and if we like it, then we'll share it in the next Ninba spotlight. And I'd send some of our Melee videos and some of our Mario Party videos, and then I sent in some of our Mario Kart videos, and then one of the Mario Kart videos, the Star Cup video, was the one that got picked up by them and it was shared. And I remember getting back home from school or whatever and seeing that Mario Kart 64 was in the thumbnail. I'm like, oh, and I clicked on it, and then it was like our channel was in their description. I'm like, holy cow, this is the big time. And I think we got 20 subscribers from that in the next day or so.
Yeah.
And one of those was Miguel, who ended up becoming one of our most like well-known subscribers. We'd see him all the time in streams and everything like that. But it was from this 2013 thing of me continuing to push it out and believing in our content just enough that I would show it. And then that just led to, that was just a form of legitimacy, you know, it just legitimized it. By then we weren't even doing it for a year, and we were already at like 60 or so subscribers, which is kind of nothing in today's standards. But back in 2013, there weren't as many people on YouTube, and we were getting pretty good views, and it was cool. There's a bunch, but I think that's one that I would share, at least for this audience, because it just reminded me that you don't have very much time for certain things. Nimba's spotlight is completely dead. It went on for another 6 or 7 months, and then it ended, meaning that if 7 months later from that day I was like, oh, our content's good enough, now we have a capture card, let me share with them, it would have been already too late. Maybe Miguel would have never found our channel, you know. But because I was like, hey, it's good enough, I enjoy it, might as well, that's what led to all the other things. Yeah. You know, and that's kind of what I'm seeing right now too in my own life, is like, you just gotta put yourself out there. I mean, if you're ready to go, you don't even have to be ready to go, but if you're like, if you want to see that new destination, well then pick up your anchor and go, because ships are safe in a harbor, but that's not what ships are for.
Yeah. One of my favorite memories was definitely, there was one time we recorded an entire Mario Party map and realized that the batteries had died about halfway through. And it was just, we all just looked at each other and just went, okay, cool. You guys ready to run it again? And I mean, it's like, you know, those Mario Party maps aren't short, man. Like, they were cut up into like 7 parts of like 15-minute parts, like, or 10-minute parts even. I don't even remember which one we did, but like, those are not short videos. So, you know, we just spent an hour of like, you know, it's, you know, I don't know about y'all, but, you know, when we'd record those, it was kind of exhausting after a while, right? You know, you'd record for over an hour, and, you know, you were beat and, you know, excited. So, you know, it takes a lot out of you. And, you know, it was like, we just looked at each other and went, all right, you guys ready to go? It's like, it was just, all we could do was laugh and smile about it. You know, and then of course you had the one where my head goes about halfway up into the camera during mid-recording. That was the beautiful one. There's so many good memories, man. You know, there's tons of times where we just sat there talking about what we're doing next for recordings and stuff like that, coming up with ideas. It's just, I'm surprised there was no fights, honestly, but there was never a fight. It was all just, it all ran smooth.
Yeah. There were like just being honest, there were times that after the fact, like with me living where it was shot, there was a lot of stresses of me being like, oh snap, this capture card isn't working anymore, or like this cord is too short now, this needs to be done or whatever. Especially when there was a time when we first started using the capture card where we were like using this really old computer to record it on before we had, and because our TV was one of those giant like
It's like
I don't think
probably 40-inch.
Yeah, like what are those called, like vacuum tube monitors, like the super heavy thick ones, the thick boys, and we had to use that, and that was crazy. So like when we got it set up where we had the USB for the capture card, and we had it running like over the ceiling and then down to a computer that was over in the corner, and that was it's just crazy, like the setups that we have. I wish we had like a camera set up in the corner that could have taken a picture of each of those.
I don't know how we never took pictures of our setups. It was the jankiest thing I think I've ever seen, and yet we were making it work, and people were absolutely falling in love with it. It's insane what we were able to accomplish with just not even the capture card days. I'm talking about the bookshelves and the books and the camera, the tripod, and all that stuff. And then like James was talking about, whenever we got the capture card, it was shot on this like computer that was used by our great grandparents. Like, it's just like it was so janky, but we made it work, man.
Yeah, when I was pointing up, I was saying like we had tape on our ceiling for a pretty good amount of time for a lot of the wiring to make that work.
Yeah, and it was electric tape, so it left marks.
That room will always be the recording room, Ben. Like, I don't think I'll ever look at that room. You guys can make that room into whatever you guys want, but no matter what, I will always go look in that room and be like, yep, all right, the camera's about to turn on. Like,
yeah.
I mean, hundreds of videos.
Hundreds.
Like, when we first got started, like, I was keeping track on a clipboard of who played as who. So I was like, oh, you need to play as this person because you haven't played as this person or something. That's how we took the first Melee video. And then we did those 21 videos. And then we did WarioWare after that. And then Mario Kart. And, yeah, so... It was there was definitely a lot of, but even before we had a YouTube channel, we did some recording in there too.
Yep.
You know, we put out a couple videos on Facebook before we even had a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I've gone back on Ezra's Facebook. He has some of like the old like Mario Kart videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, like I don't even know if he ever had a name, but we had a friend that came over. He'd always play as Donkey Kong in Mario Kart.
Were you guys ever surprised about how good our content like actually was, considering our age?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, wow, like this is entertaining, and there's things that people are creating now, and like I have a different taste than like everyone has different taste, but there's things that people are creating now that like don't make me laugh, and like it's going back to videos like I'm like, wow, we are some funny kids, like, and our like the chemistry, it was you could feel it in each of the videos.
I'm also like, it's just like even the gameplay I thought was pretty solid. Like, you know, considering we were all like just either young teenagers. I think I was like what, 12? I mean, like I wasn't even a teenager yet when we first started this. And so it's like, considering all of that, I thought we were putting out some pretty quality stuff. Like it's like James said, I mean, there's people out there now that are 20 years old that aren't putting out nearly as good a content as us, you know? And I mean, that's sure, that's an ego talking out of me, but still, I thought, you know, for what we had and for how, like, the position in life that we were in, I thought that was, like, really good content with what we were doing.
I think there's a strong sense of purpose, and as we hope will happen with Not Quite Legends, and what we've seen so far is there's been a lot of group participation and a lot of group support, if you will. You know, I think none of us, I mean, although I basically carried a lot of the channel as far as uploading everything and stuff, you know, I did feel the support, especially more as time went on. And then when I went on my mission in end of 2015 and literally said, here, James, and James is like, I'll keep it going. I'll put the team on my back. I mean, I'll always be thankful for that, you know? I didn't have to do anything there. And because of what James did, there was people that found the channel that are still fans today, and the channel still gets views on old videos. Like, it's still like a lot of those WarioWare videos get 200 views every month on repeat. It'd be nice to make a couple dollars from them, but none of us started the channel for money. You know, that was never the beginning thing. It was like, we want to share our joy. We have these experiences on when we play games on the couch. We got to share some of these. We got to immortalize some of these, because right now, you know, they happen, but it's like nobody else sees it except us. You know, it's like if a kid, you know, wrote a super amazing story for a homework assignment and turns it in, gets 100. Well, fantastic. But let's say if that's the most amazing story ever created, and literally the only person who reads it is his teacher. So it was very selfless. We all wanted the best, and I was praying for subscribers some every night, you know. Please bless the Flow 596, whatever he's going through. And I used to have all their names, like a lot of our first like 50 subscribers, you know, like Super Saiyan Gamer and what are some other ones? I used to like 117 Pokemon Master, you know, because I knew these were real people. There's a potential to reach real people. And especially in our age group, that's a very, very, very vulnerable time.
Yeah.
And this is something that Miguel shared with us later, is that watching our videos helped him, A, learn English, and 2, not get into any crazy stuff when he was like at that tender age. He's like, I never got into drugs. You know, I didn't join any gangs or anything because of your content. Like, that was like a big part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that like we were trying to like work towards when we started it was we had like cousins and stuff that would watch YouTube, and we're like, the things that we would see what they were watching, and or just like it would influence like the way that they acted and stuff, and it's just like, that's garbage. Like, we really want to create something that is more like wholesome, but also just like entertaining and just like real. And like Dallin eating his salad
salad in the
there.
middle of the stream.
I know where that's from.
No, but like I agree with you, because like here's the thing, man. Like I was talking about earlier, I was like what 12? You know what I'm saying? Like I was so young. I wasn't thinking about changing people's lives then, man. I was what 12-year-old is thinking about that, right? At the end of the day, you just stuck a camera in front of me and said, "Hey, Vinny, play this character," and I said, "Cool."
Yeah,
it's like you never think big picture then, right? You know, and I think now it's like, you know, I look back at it and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool what we were able to accomplish at such a young age for all of us. I mean, I think Ezra was really the only one that was like, I think he was like probably 17, something like that. Like he was in his mid-teens probably. I don't remember exactly, so I'm not confident in saying that, but he was older than us, so at the end of the day, he was the only one that was really like realizing what we were actually doing. You know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, it's a lot easier now when I look back at it, but during the time, man, I was just doing whatever you guys were telling me to do. You know, it's just, you stuck a camera in front of me and told me to play a character, I said, cool, I'll do it, you know?
Yeah, it's like the people that you surround yourself with like impact you. Like I was just thinking about it recently, how like I already was interested in art and stuff, but Ezra was one of those people that really got me interested in that, because I was over at his house and I saw like his sketchbook and all of his characters and stuff that he had drawn, and I'm just like, dang, this is so cool. Like I want to do that, I want to try that. And it just all like a lot of the channel art came from that one drawing that he made.
Yep.
And then I colored.
That's still one of the best drawings I've seen, man.
Yeah.
Didn't you update that too?
Yeah.
That's insane as well. I'm sure we'll
Thanks.
get that out sooner or later, but I mean, so talented, dude.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, like that picture in particular and just those characters have a soft spot in my heart, and I think in the hearts of others too. Like I can't remember, I think it's Rocky, I think did some art for us and stuff, did fan art of like me and Dallin, and like it's like, what? This is crazy. Like there's people making fan art of us.
Yeah.
It was just like, even if it's just one person, it's like it's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I actually do have a question that we can answer. It came from Christian Prater, and
Nice.
He asked, "Who are some of our role models?"
It was my roommate in college.
Awesome, man.
Hello, Christian.
Glad to see
Oh,
you.
I know who that is. Hello.
Hey,
man.
it's great to have you here. Role models. So, I feel like in life you have role models that are like unreachable, possibly dead, like those like people that lived a long time ago, or maybe like super successful now that you've never really met before. And then you have role models that are closer to you. Some of those role models that are closer to me is like my uncle. We just know him as the Bullwinkle, and he helped us a lot in like growing the channel, giving us the capture card, and just always being willing to support us and like what we wanted to try out and what we wanted to do. And I had like lunch with him before going on my mission. It was just an awesome experience, and yeah, it was just really good. People that like I probably will never meet. One of them is Hayao Miyazaki. He did like Studio Ghibli films. Just the way that he sees the world, and it just always inspired me, and that's one of the reasons I got into art. Walt Disney's also one of the reasons. His story is pretty, even though like Disney's like kind of controversial now, like some people aren't big fans of Disney, like Walt Disney, the person. He was a really cool guy, and he went through a lot of struggles. He was homeless at one point, and like at one point slept in like the office that he worked in. And it's crazy, like the success that came in his life. And I'm just like, it's okay if I struggle and if things don't always work out super well. Like I can bounce back and I can improve and grow.
Yeah. So it's weird because I look at my life and like I say like, okay, like who's like my inspiration? Like who do I like base my mindset on, right? And I'm gonna be honest, like I feel like I look, and like this may sound bad, but like I feel like I look at a lot of people and I'll like look at like what they did wrong, right? And I'll say, okay, how do I not do that, right? So like how do I change my world so I don't end up like that, right? And so like I think I do that quite a bit, but some people like in terms of like work ethic and things like that, I would say, you know, my first boss, Day was her name. She definitely taught me a lot when it came to the real world, you know, because at the end of the day, when you're 16, you don't really know a lot. You know, it's just kind of a, you know, your first job, you know, you're working in probably fast food or something like that. You know, you feel like most people don't learn a lot, but that was probably my first job where like I learned what it meant to like work and like how to have a good work ethic, you know, how to do things whenever nobody else is looking, right? You know, like it's stuff like that. In terms of content creation, I don't know. I never really like. I've watched YouTubers like Pro Syndicate and stuff like that from back in the day, but you know, I never like. I wouldn't say my content was an inspiration from them or anything like that. But like I said, I think the biggest thing I do is just I try to make sure like that I hold myself to the highest standard I can, right? So you know, and that's want to make sure like nobody else can hold me to a higher standard than myself, if that makes sense.
It's true.
Don't know if I answered the question well, but there you go.
No, I think that's good.
I thought of the Bullwinkle as well, James, which is kind of funny because he did. Like when we were showing commitment, he's like, "Hey, you could use this microphone. You could also use this capture card, and I can help you set it up and whatever." And so he never appeared in any videos, yet he was in the details of it and was a big part of it getting as far as it did. And not only that, I just had to tell the quick story. There's this game we play at the library sometimes called Pawn Game, and it was like this game where like all of your kills can get you better items and stuff, but it was like 10 players online, and so we all would jump on it and play together. And we were all playing online once, and then this guy, the Bullwinkle, jumps in at literally like 11:30 p.m. We're like, who the heck is this guy? And it was him. And I'm like, holy cow, he's just made a memory, dude. Like none of us are gonna forget that. That's not possible. So he's just he's a workhorse, and he's just very loving and caring person. I got to help with some of his primary 9 class, like at church. I'd help with teaching that before I went on my mission, and got to see him, just teach the kids and share with the kids. So that was cool. And another one in the content creation world was Thomas Frank. I found his channel before I went on my mission. He had just come out with a book and just was really inspired by his thoughts and just kind of connected with him. He had 50,000 subscribers when I met on my mission. I came back and he had 1 million. And I was like, oh boy, this guy now he has over 2 million and he's making Notion courses. And he's just always stays so curious. And he's always staying so like teachable and learning all this stuff from different people. And he also loves himself enough to take himself out of games where he knows that he's already done his part, right? He already feels like, okay, I've already gone into that point, right? So he can put himself more in other ways. So for him, he had a podcast, the Information podcast, the College Info Geek podcast as well. They're on the same umbrella house thing. And then it just kind of got to the point and he's like, you know what? I love this, but I want to have this time back. And so even though I'm making money from this, even though this is fun, I am stepping away. And I was like, oh shoot, dude. But now, he's had all this time to work on this other stuff. And for me, it's made me think about my own personal podcast, Heal Today with Dallin Candland. And I'm like, do I want that time back? And for me, it's just so beneficial to be able to talk with other people and stuff. And so for me, I haven't gone into that point where I'm making that similar decision. But there's a lot. Our cousin Clark is another giant one too. Well, it's me and James's cousin. It's Kyle's like second or third, fourth cousin.
somewhere
something like that.
Somewhere back there.
Those are two that I would say. And also our mom. She's always just been so inspirational. And
she was actually in the chat earlier as well.
There you go. Of course.
Sure,
we love her. Yeah. So
great woman.
Our dad's awesome as well. But yeah, there's definitely a lot in there. But that's a piece of the puzzle.
She's easily the most the nicest person I think I've ever met. Like I don't think I've ever seen her not in a good mood. I don't know. It's crazy. Great person.
Yeah, her mom is awesome.
I think one thing about her is she will go to great lengths, extreme lengths to help out somebody.
Yeah.
So it's like there's not somebody that if somebody that she really cares about or is struggling is having a rough time, she'll drop everything and go and reach out to them. And that's something that I've tried to adopt into my own life is when, I see somebody like yesterday, I got back from this church thing. It's cold outside, got a bunch of food from the church function, which is where I got that salad from. So bless them. And there's this guy walking outside and I'm like, I should go offer him some food. So I went over to offer him some food and he's like, no, man, I'm good. I'm just trying to get a Sprite for my wife because she's sick. Ended up praying with him and praying for his wife and had a good little chat with him. And, at the time I was jamming out in my car. I was drumming and, just having a good time. But then I was like, I need to go talk to that guy. And so I did. And it was cool. But a lot of that is inspired by her mom. We'd be driving down the road and mom would just be like, yay! She'd be waving like at a random person. It's like, I want that. I want to be like that, So yeah, shout out to her too.
I think there are a lot of people that I've met in my life that I aspire to be like. A form of them. I want to be a form of them, right? So, I think one of them that specifically is one of my best friend's moms as well. Not Brenda, of course, is a great person, but this woman has gone through the ringer, right? As a terrible disease that I forgot the name of it, but it's 1 in 1 billion people get it. It's so just rare, and she has to just deal with it. And it's she's still I could call her at any time, and she would have this bright, just hi, how you doing? It's no matter what she goes through, she's always ready to help somebody. And it's just if I could just have that, can I just forget what I'm going through for a minute? Whenever somebody needs me, let me just, and I get it, I'm human, everybody is, but just be ready to help somebody even when you're not ready necessarily to help somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's I promise, whatever happened in your day is not going to be the end of your day, right? Just you can make your day better, basically.
Well, I think about some of the most difficult times in my life, those people that were around me, there's potential for there to be very, very deep like networks built from under that. That will make you way stronger like down the road. You look at some teams that in basketball or football that weren't that great and they worked together and they faced the fire together. They're like, a lot of them are like this after that. You know, they're like so strong, you know? And so like, I think that was something beautiful about the YouTube channel, is that we were all in it together, and we're like, well, we're just going to help each other out and we're going to stick with it. And that was another thing about the channel too, was we're going to uplift each other, we're going to inspire each other. Sure, we can make like poke fun and be stupid or whatever, but like overall, you know, that was something that was one of the rules at the very beginning. You know, it's like, one, you wash your hands before we play with the controllers.
The absolute best rule ever.
We did every single time,
best rule
every
ever.
single video, and those controllers still look and play pretty great. And the second rule is that we want this to be an uplifting atmosphere. We want this to like help out people. We want people to like be able to check in and like feel like they're on the couch with us. That was always like the goal. Yeah. And I think that was one thing that really helped us to not. There was never any like. We never got so passionate or so angry from that passion that we were like throwing a controller out the window, throwing Kyle out the window, throwing.
Do we need to remind everybody after the Cardi Cards match, man? I went through that window, man.
Yeah. But like, we didn't actually do anything.
That was they didn't see off camera, man.
I mean, the love always overcame the fear, the negativity, like whatever it was, and that was something that we planned from day one.
Yep.
Above all, love is going to conquer anything else, because we're here to spread that. And I could tell, even though I was young, I knew right off the bat that when we're starting with 0, once we're at 1 or 2 or 3, you know, I'd studied YouTube enough that we were going to start making an impact. And so that was something I wanted to see. And that was one of the first things in my life that I got to see. I love the building. I love seeing this build up and grow. And same thing with this. Like right now, this has 8 subscribers last I checked. But as we continue to increase production quality, we're all getting more involved. We're all doing things like, Kyle, you set up this stream. We're streaming from your computer. You know, this isn't one person making this house and now we're all invited. We have this network of houses, and however it works, whatever needs to happen, we make it work. And it's way stronger that way.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And like, I just want I just wanted to throw in like some like YouTubers that really inspired me. One of them is Peter McKinnon, and like his is like photography and kind of totally different than what I'm going into, but just how like honest and really is. And I think that's something that people really want to see. A lot of times there's way too much like polish, like trying to get out every single imperfection that someone has. But when you take that out of a video, it sometimes can take out personality out of a video. And that's why we thought this would be a cool thing where it's just kind of live and like you get all of like the weird things that we do. And I was thinking about like the hand washing, and I just remember like, if you didn't wash your hands, Dallin just kind of gives you a stare like,
oh, Dallin just literally chokeslammed you. What do you mean?
Did you not wash your hands? Sorry for that jump scare, but it's just like, okay, I'm gonna go do that. And it's like this, it's like, yeah, it was funny thinking about that.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. And Dallin brings up a great point, and I never really thought about it, but the channel never became bigger than us. You know, it's so easy when, I mean, we had so much success. I mean, the WarioWare videos literally have thousands of views. I mean, that is nuts. We were like, I had to be like 13 or 14 at that point. Like, that is insane to have that much of an impact at that young of an age. I mean, and it's not just from me. I'm just speaking from my point of view. It's so easy to see that type of success and be like, oh, I'm the one doing it, right? Like, I'm the one causing. I'm doing this amount of work, and I'm doing this amount of work, and I'm doing this. It's like, it's so easy for that type of stuff to happen, and it's crazy that it never happened for us, right? There was no, as I said earlier, there was no fights. There was no, you know, I'm sure we had little like times where we had to like step away, you know, for a second, but I mean, those weren't even fights. It was just like stress and us just wanting the video to be good, right? It was all about passion. It wasn't about like, well, this is you're being stupid. Like it was never about that, and I think it's so rare to see that because, you know, I talked about this last podcast, but I compete for League of Legends, and it's so hard to not or to keep the games like just the game, right? Like keep it as just the game. Don't bring passion into it, right? Because if you bring passion into it, then that's when you get frustrated with people and you cause fights, right? And it's so difficult to do that, and it's even more difficult when you see the success, right? You see the success, and you have this certain expectation now that it's like, okay, this is what we need to be doing, and this is like the level of content we should be able to post. And it's like when we don't hit that, you know, it's so easy to just like become bigger than the channel. You know what I'm saying? And we never did, and I think that's like showed a level of maturity for all of us. Because again, I think it's so easy to do.
Yeah, I think having a clear why for something, this is something I've been trying to figure out a lot about recently. It's like, what is the why for Dallin's life? You know, if I just figure that out, it's like, if you have the right why, you can overcome any how and blah, blah, blah.
You know, that's psychologicals of life.
You know, that's something that like I, you know, am passionate about and whatever, but it's like, we had that clear why to redirect us anytime anything was kind of in a certain way. And I do think of it similar to like a campfire. It like warms the people around it. We're not setting a forest on fire. You know, I recently read this story about this guy who was a firefighter, right? And he's trying to like help out his family, right? He's trying to help out his family, and there's not enough fires going on. He's like, you know what? I'll just start a fire myself. So he literally starts a fire in like this small town in like California, and he can't put it out. Like once it's going, he can't put it out. And so it causes like millions in damages, 300, 600 homes wrecked by fire. And he's paying this super big fine because he set his life on fire, you know? And that's what can happen if you don't have that clear peace of mind or clear things put together. So if this happens, we will still act in X way. And that's something that we decided day one. It's like, hey, friendship and everything, that is the key, number one. You know, that is going to be the most important thing. And that what for us was kind of something that we did. You know, we weren't like beating each other up for content or anything stupid like that. We were genuine and sticking with our goal, and we were all on point, and so we were all able to make a lot more impact.
I mean, genuinely, I think there was only like a handful of fights, period, between us. Not even like take the content out. I think genuinely there was only like 1 or 2 fights I can actually remember. And like I said, I mean, at a young age, you fight over the stupidest stuff. You can fight over that. You got the purple popsicle, and I got the yellow popsicle, right? It's like, well, I wanted the purple, right? Like you can fight over the stupidest stuff. And I think genuinely there's only like 1 or 2 fights. And to put it in perspective, I don't even remember what those fights were about. I just remember that there was whatever happened. But I don't even remember what those were about. So that could tell you, like, it was never anything big. It had to be the stupid little kid stuff, right? And like I said, I think it's hard to find where, even though you can be stressed about stuff, even though there's a lot going on and you have these big ambitions, that you stay together and like you stay on the same path, basically. Just realizing, hey, we're all like trying to go down the same road. You know, the moment you think, oh, my road's different than yours, it's like, okay, well, you might as well go ahead and stop because you're going down the wrong path, basically.
Yeah, I know I'm kind of talking, and James is listening very well. I was just thinking about, like, I have this Curious George and this little mouse, if you give a mouse a cookie thing in the background, right? And I got those from the thrift store where I work right now, and it's a pretty good job. I don't really love it, but like I went to school for marketing and writing. Like I'd rather be doing that right now. But because I was there, I was able to get those for like $1 or $2 each. The Curious George and If You Give a Mouse a Cookie have completely different authors. You know, they were written different artists, different illustrators, etc. However, they both were created with the very same thing in mind, to uplift and bless a child's life. And so they both accomplished that. Neither of them is more important than the other. I mean, yes, Curious George had a TV show, and If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, I don't think it did. But from my mind, they both accomplished the same thing. They were fighting the same battle. So just wanted to go on that a little bit farther.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, no, that's good. Oh no, it's good. I've been like sending the live stream out to some of my friends, see if they want to join. But like something that I was thinking about is how, I don't know the best way of putting it. It's like how like life changes. Like I was just thinking about it. It's interesting how we're doing this like video call where you can see our faces. When we were recording like as kids and like when we were doing the Tanuki Toad team, we did not want you to see our faces.
You didn't know our names.
You didn't know our names. There was videos where when we were using the camera where you could see reflections of people's faces if you really want to go back and see that. But it's in like sometimes we would try to like edit that out because we're just like no one can know who we are. It was kind of a thing like back then. There was a lot of things with that. But I think it's interesting. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's one thing. But I think it's interesting how we adapt and how we learn and how we grow, and how it's like now like a faceless YouTube gaming channel like that doesn't make sense for us. Like it's like we want to be able to connect with people, and we want to be able to share something more than just like video games, like something like deeper. And it's interesting with all of us and the different directions that we've gone and the things that we've like gained skill sets in, and how those can still complement each other today. Well,
yeah, no, I completely agree. Because I mean, again, it's you're in different spots in life. Like you continue to move forward. At the end of the day, life's not going to stop. And so everybody's at a different spot in their life. I am, James is, Dallin is. So, and I think as we continue to grow in life, at the end of the day, we still complement each other in some way, shape, or form, regardless of where each other are at in life. And that's just based off of the friendship that we've had for however long it is.
Yeah, I literally have my pants in the background right now. On my bed. I mean, I'm wearing pants, but like I'm wearing joggers right now. I'm
exactly
chilling.
what I meant, but yeah.
It's like we don't like. Who knows what will happen? Like 2 weeks ago when we did the first one, I don't think I had those. The Curious George, the turtle, and the If You Give a Mouse Cookie. Those are all very close developments, very recent. Same thing with that picture of Captain Moroni. I'm pretty sure that's really new. And my pants weren't on the bed last time.
That's good. That's good.
New developments.
I won't have my pants on my bed next time.
Like one thing,
it'll be shorts.
In like giving people context, like some more context of like growing up and stuff is like we weren't like we made a ton of videos, but we weren't like workhorses. Like we were having fun, like we were having a good time, like we were just working hard, playing hard. And there'd be times like where it'd be recording upstairs where like our studio was, and then we would go downstairs and grab dinner or something, or like have a quick family prayer, or like grab a little snack before like jumping back into playing a game and recording or starting a live stream. And it was just like this time where everything lined up. Like we really didn't have super busy schedules. Like even now, like getting this to work, it takes some work. Like it's hard, but it's worth it. And it was worth it then too, because we're able to learn from each other and like grow. And I think that's one of the awesome things with YouTube is when you watch different creators on YouTube a ton, like you get to know those people and you learn a lot from them. You can be impacted by them. It's almost like a friendship, except it's like they don't really know you super well, but you really get to know these people and you really get to connect with them. And I think it's a super powerful thing, the impact that you can make.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I mean, again, it's like you said. I mean, we weren't just like. I think, well, a lot of people like mistake those videos back in the day is that they were always a grind, right? like people always thought that, like, you know, we had to put like, you know, a lot of like, of course we put effort and time into it, but that doesn't make it a grind, right? I think it got to be that after a while, which is why we ended it. If I'm being honest, that's why I wanted to end. It got grindy. It got to the point where it was like, okay, I'm not enjoying this anymore. It's the expectation was too high for me, because it was one of those things where I was like, this is nothing we can do is going to be good enough, because my expectation is way too high at this point. Because I've seen our peak and I know that we're not at it. And so it's one of those things where it was like, okay, we're not going to reach where I want us to be at, and it's gotten to the point where it's really grindy. And so at that point, it was just like, all right, this is probably just best to cut it. And, you know, I don't think any of us regret that. I think at the end of the day, we're all at different points in our lives to begin with. I think it would have been hard to have continued to have made the content that we were making. And, you know, I think I said this a dozen times to Dallin, that it was just like, you know, I would straight up just ask him, what are we doing? Like why are we doing this? Like what? Like I think we forgot the why after a while, and we were just doing it to do it.
I agree. I think another part of it too was we were trying to adapt to changes, but some of those changes basically made it so the original channel couldn't exist anymore. So now we're creating a new channel in the same channel. Yep. Which does not work with an audience, because people were watching the channel because of the multiplayer content, etc. And I was doing my own stuff just to help me with improving commentary, which was fine as long as there was still multiplayer. But then it got to this point where I was having people over that weren't part of the original team, and and so there's just, it's just not the same channel, and it feels like a different channel, which, you know, at that point it just kind of, it would have been better, obviously, to end it earlier. I wanted to end it earlier, but it was hard. You know, there's sunk costs. There's a lot of different things. Identity was very tied up in it, you know, and such. But I did want to share one quick analogy that came to mind, because I've been watching basketball recently. The original, like, 2012, 2013 Snooki-Toe team was basically like one of the best basketball teams you can imagine, like Kobe, Michael Jordan, you know, all those people, or whatever a dream team basketball team looks like. Because just because you have a bunch of star players doesn't mean you're gonna have a star team, right? We had a star team, and so we had this superstar team putting out these bangers of videos, you know. And then I go on my mission. Oh, not a big deal. We still have this cluster of people, yes, but then slowly other things fall into place or fall out of place. College, out of college, me and James are on the other side of the country going to college. You know, you can't do videos on the couch if James and I aren't on the couch with you. And we didn't do any videos trying to do that. And I don't think those would have been bad, but I also don't think they would have been very good, because there's changes. And when I was on my mission, there was also some changes too. You know, I had to be okay with, I think there was that practice of letting go of the gaming channel completely, because that was something that I personally was like, okay, God, this is yours. We'll do what you want with it. And then it's kind of like, well, when it was time, and you can still keep it going, but it's sort of like being on a different team or just moving on. It's like, well, here's where I'm at, and you're still here trying to make this work in this way. And I admire the effort, but I'm over here, you know? Mm-hmm. And so it just took some time, but now, you know, when we came together, melded the minds, we're like, hey, we should try this. This is a different thing. Now, if we were still doing that, there's no way we could do both. You know, I'm running another podcast myself, and it sounds a little crazy to do another podcast, but it's like, it's the benefit versus the cost. It's like, well, the benefits way, way, way outweigh the cost, you know, and plus one of these could get picked up by the algorithm at some point, one of the old videos or something. I don't know. The first video got like 130 views, which is cool. And again, it's not the same thing. If we're doing it for money or we're doing it for views, like, it's not going to last. It's not going to whatever. But if we do it because of meaning, because we want to connect, because we want to help out others, then I think it's going to last a long time.
Yeah. Buster just messaged me. He said that he's lurking. He loves hearing the deep lore behind the channel.
You're beautiful. We love you, Buster.
I mean, there's so much we could talk about with this channel. I mean, seriously, like, that channel went on for 8 or 9 years. And I mean, seriously, there's so many conversations we've had. There's so many, you know, there was a literal whiteboard in the room that we recorded in that had ideas written down that, you know, we would sit there for, you know, a couple of hours just coming up with ideas, you know, of like, okay, this is the video idea, this is the video idea, this is what I want to do, and I think it got, you know, and I'll be honest, you know, it got really hard, whenever Dallin came back from his mission and James was gone, and that's not for anybody specifically, that's just the time period. I feel like that's when it got hard. It was to the point where it was like, it felt, as like Dallin said, we probably should have ended it by then. You know, I think maybe me and James could have run it a little bit better. But I think at the end of the day, in my eyes, it should have already ended. Because it wasn't multiplayer anymore. It wasn't the original content that we were set out to do. It was 2-player. It was whoever we could scrounge up to make it multiplayer, but it wasn't the original what we were supposed to be doing. And I think at that point, that's where, you know, it got to the point where it was like, okay, this is so far away from what we originally came up to do, you know, and that's not anybody's fault. That's not, you know, it's just, it's life, right? It's, you know, continuing to just move forward in life, because like I said earlier, life's not going to stop. And so that's just continuing to, like, life continue to move forward. And eventually it got to the point where it was like, yeah, this is not what it was, and this isn't what we wanted it to be either, you know?
Yeah.
And it sucked for all of us, because I mean, I think none of us wanted it to end. We all loved doing that channel. There's a reason we're doing this now, because I think we all loved what we were doing. It's just, it's one of those things where, again, if you don't, it's kind of like I don't know, what's something that ages good, but then if you leave it out for too long, it goes bad.
Cheese?
I guess. Yeah, actually, that's good. That's good. That's really good. Yeah, cheese. Yeah. That's, I was thinking like cheese. I thought wine first, and I was like, no, wine ages good. So I don't know, but cheese. Yeah, cheese is a good one. Yeah, it's like, you know, if you leave cheese out for too long, right, it's gonna mold, right? And so it's like, you know, it started getting moldy.
I mean, that's kind of the whole point of cheese, though. Is like there's cheese at different points, and so it's like, what kind of cheese do you want? But I guess going along with the cheese analogy, it's like we had gotten to the point where we didn't know what kind of cheese we were making. And furthermore, just to go on what your point, Kyle, it's like it was getting hard. It was getting really complicated. You know, it was getting difficult. It was like, well, we started this series before I left on my mission, so do we continue it? You know, we made like 10 or 15 more Mario Party 2 videos, me and Kyle by ourselves. And those were fun. We had a good time with them, but it was like, it wasn't Mario Party 5 or Mario Party 2 with like all of us. You know, it was still fun.
It was a great time.
It was just mostly me versus Kyle, and I think those were still worth the watch. But it's like we could tell like there was just a change, because like now that we've proven this, then it's like, well, maybe we can scale this up and do this in a different way. Because that's how I see that now, is preparation for this. It's preparation for what other stuff, you know? Like, if we hadn't done that, you know, maybe I wouldn't have started my podcast. I wouldn't have seen or learned how much I had to say, or much I liked talking just while talking and stuff. But also just like I wouldn't have found out so many other things about myself. And so I feel like the channel really did accomplish what it was supposed to accomplish, and then some, and then more, because there's still some subscribers I talk to on Discord here and there, because I care a lot about them, you know. And so yeah, it was a W, you know. And it's like, it's important to see it that way. But you know, when the signs are coming up, you know, like there's clouds in the sky, it's gonna rain or whatever, it's like, you know, eventually we're all gonna be married. I hope we're still doing this once we're all married, because that would be fun. But like, there's just changes that needed to happen. And my dad, I do like these Fatherly Friday calls with him over the last 10 weeks we've done this, and it's been super good. We just answered 2 questions. What was one thing you enjoyed from this week? What's one thing you learned from this week? And my dad was talking about how last week, where he works at the car computer company he works at, they were making a lot of changes, and he wasn't super thrilled about it. But then he's like, wait a second, this will help me do my job better and with like more efficiency, right? And my dad's like, so what I learned is that it's not so much the change, it's the attitude you have towards the change. That's like basically everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, and I think we talked about this before, but I mean, being comfortable in change, right? Like, I don't think any of us viewed what was happening as a bad thing, right? Like I don't like I should reframe how I worded how it got hard, right? That doesn't mean that I viewed it as a bad thing, because I think me and Dallin, when we did those 2-player stuff, I thought that was really good stuff.
It was still
seriously,
great.
I thought like some of those videos were like some of the live streams we did. What was it? That one Mario Party board we did where we had to win the minigame where you hit the buttons, and we're doing the 8-player.
That was
and like that's like one of the best moments I think we've had in Tanuki Toad Team. Seriously, like I think that was seriously one of the best moments. Like if we were to do a montage, I think that would be a part of it. It's like there's so many moments that were really, really good, but again, it went away from what the original channel was, and so that's where again it was just we needed to be comfortable in the change, but also be comfortable saying, hey, this wasn't the original idea, this wasn't the original plan. So now we're swapping the plan, right? We're reinventing what we had at the beginning. And so what we had at the beginning is still, we want to make an impact. We want to be able to interact with people, right? Cool, we're still accomplishing that, but now we're doing it in a way that we can actually be successful in that and make it our quote-unquote brand, right? We'll make it our quote-unquote like way of doing it that's I guess we could be successful at.
Yeah. I was just thinking about like another thing was we realized that we hadn't talked to each other in a really long time and really hadn't seen each other in really like kind of just we really wanted a way to be able to talk to each other and have a reason to do so, because it's so easy to make excuses and be like, no, like I'm super busy, this person doesn't want to talk to me or whatever. But I was just like thinking about how one of the biggest things with, at least for me, with the Tanuki Toad team was, it's interesting because we started like 2012 and like a lot of like, that's kind of, I know YouTube was along before that, but that's kind of where a lot of people started, was 2012. There's a lot of people that started in 2012. And it was like this time of people being able to be a part of like a community and grow. So I think one of the biggest things was the members that we had, like that were in the videos, and then the members that were watching the videos. I was just like, I just kind of want to give a shout out to just like the people that were like members of the team. Like Mephilis is one of them. He's huge. You've probably seen, like, if you've seen our channel, if you haven't, go check it out in the links below. And Toad, that's Dallin, and like Sergeant Tacos, I was Ice in that channel, and Kyle was Minibeast. We had Bacon Slug and Top Hat Toast and Fox and Joker X way back in the day. And then we also had like Grape, Mutated Grape, and Corporal Cheese. I have a Pinterest board. I've been like looking at, because I've been working on character designs for things for the characters, and it's just like these people have made a huge impact in my life, and I think it's just been like such an awesome experience.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, well, we're having a good time, as we knew we would. We do need to wrap this up, though. Thank you so much for everybody who's jumped in the stream, and we will have people. We'll be doing this again 2 weeks from today is the plan, so that would be the 15th.
Yep.
And hope that you guys will check in with us. We'll try to have a better time. We were working on the setup a lot, but yeah, before we go, I guess let's just share more thoughts on change. How can we navigate change better? And I'll start, if we just want to do that real quick. Unless is there any other comments in the chat?
No, that was it.
Okay, we're good. Okay, so my little thought with change is inevitable. Change is always going to happen, and change is proof that things are moving along. And so there needs to be a positive relationship with change. And furthermore, being aware that things are going to change. Like, I love hearing about those marriages where the dad's like, I fell in love with like an animal nut. I married a, fantastic cook, you know, and they just say like, I love this person, I love this person, and these are all these things that I learned to love about them. Because if you have decided this is how I'm going to love this person, it's never going to change, you might need to rethink that, because they're going to change and they're going to need you to change too. And yeah, I think that's what I'd say with that.
I think a lot of people get uncomfortable whenever they see things like, you know, everybody's a by the book person, right? You know, they probably eat a lot of the same foods. They probably do a lot of the same things day in and day out, right? And I think that creates a situation where people get comfortable in just living their day-to-day lives the way that they have it set up, right? And that makes it so that way, like, there's like an uncomfortable about, whoa, this is different. But why is there change? Why is there something new? And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Like, you know, change doesn't mean a bad thing. And I think people a lot of times misconstrued that as change is like, oh, this is like a negative, right? And I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of times change is a good thing. I think there's always something you can improve in your life, period. Like, I don't think anybody lives a perfect life. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how, you know, amazing your family is. There's always something you can improve. And I think people just be comfortable in the fact that just because something new is happening, or just because there's something that you didn't have planned happening, that it's not a bad thing. And be a little bit more comfortable in that moment.
That's good. I was thinking about just like how be comfortable meeting new people and being around new people, and even people I've known for a long time. It's just like, it's interesting because we were trying to get the live stream started on my computer, and Kyle's is much better, his computer is, and it was hard for me to like, because I had everything set up, so it was hard for me to like give over control and be like, I just gotta hope, but like it's working so much better, and like trusting others and being able to be like, okay, like I'm gonna let this person into my life and I'm gonna let them help me, because there's people that have strengths that you don't have. They can be that strength to your weakness, and they can help you through those things.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yep.
We have such limited time on this earth, so if somebody spends a ton of time learning graphic design, like James has, he's ahead of anybody who's just getting started, because he's been at it for so long. You know, that doesn't mean James has learned everything, and it doesn't mean the other person can't learn things that would maybe give him an edge over James. But the fact that James has been in the ringer so long, has taken a lot of those hits, and has felt what it feels like, you know, and I with my expertise and Kyle with his, you know, just puts you in a different position. So it really helps to work together, which is what we've done today. Further, I wanted to say, like, if we hadn't done this, then I wouldn't be showing my pants right now to the camera. I'm done.
Okay, I'm glad that I accidentally minimized TeamSpeak so they didn't see that on stream, so we're good.
It's just my pants. There's nothing wrong with it.
I know, man. I know. It's funny.
So, here they are again.
Thanks,
Dallin. Appreciate it, buddy.
Well, it was good. It was good seeing all you guys. Thanks to everyone who joined the live stream. If you had questions that weren't answered, feel free to comment below or send it to us, like whatever works for you. And like, go check out our links and stuff below. And thanks so much for being here.
Be willing to put on the pants of change.
Okay, we're ending this. All right, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it, y'all.